over document C first. So we'll start with Landon as the presenter for this table. Landon, number one, what was the main purpose of this speech by Woodrow Wilson?
To persuade the Congress to go to war.
Right, so to persuade Congress for a declaration of war. Number two, what reasons does Woodrow Wilson give for going to war?
I can't talk, my bad. I can't say it.
Lusitania.
Lusitania ship being sunk and innocent people were being killed.
Okay, excellent. Was there any other reason that anyone found for his declaration of war besides the sinking of Lusitania? Did you see anything about the loss of innocent lives and how that was going to keep happening? Yeah. Okay, as long as you got those things down, you're good. Number three, we'll pop over here. Does it seem like the United States is entering the war for political or economic reasons? Explain. Okay, so they put economic because he specifically states in there the loss of property is heavy, right? Did anyone put anything different?
He also says that he did it for democracy.
Okay, so he's doing it for democracy, so did you guys put political?
I didn't really put that. We just put, because he said it was for democracy.
So is democracy political or economic?
It'd be kind of political, wouldn't it?
Right. Did anybody put political and economic? What'd you guys
Didn't
put?
think about the political because
Just political?
democracy.
Okay.
We had to do something.
Either one of those is fine. And if it were me doing this, I would probably state political and economic reasons. Because yes, he's saying that we are declaring war for the sake of democracy, but we're also doing it, like Francis said, because of the loss of property. So that's an economic reason. All right, good job. We'll move on down to document D. So how does Bishop Wall feel about the Germans, Brandon? He hates them, and he's very specific about that in that first little paragraph, right?
Yeah.
He feels strongly about the Germans and what they're doing. So number two, you're kind of making an inference based on his letter. What can this letter tell us about the feelings of average Americans in 1918?
They were frustrated.
Frustrated with who?
What was going on? The Germans.
Mm-hmm. With what they're doing in Europe, right? All right, and number three, how trustworthy do you think Bishop Paul is? What could you do to verify any of this information? Landon.
I don't think it's not very trustworthy because it even says in the very beginning that he has strong bias against them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as trustworthy as it could be because of all the bias in it. But they are at war with Germany, so some of it could be true.
That's a good point. So when it says what could you do to verify any of this information, there's a big thing that we've talked about before. When we take one source and we compare it to another source to back up that information, right? So you could do that. If you come across a piece of information like that that contains bias, it's always good to check and compare it to something else to see what's actually going on. All right, good job, guys. So hold on to these for a second because you're going to use them for your facts pyramid. So you guys now, based on your primary source analysis, you're going to be deciding which of these four reasons that the United States entered World War I was most important into pushing us into war. So you'll have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 1 being the most important reason that we went to war, and 4 being the least important reason that we went to war. So for whatever you put for number 1, put your reason here, or not your reason, but your incident, whatever happened. If you think the sinking of Lusitania was the most important reason to push us into World War I, you write it right here in this number 1. Then you come over here to the rectangle and you put your why. Why do you think that that is the most important reason to push us into World War I? And you guys are going to want to look at your guiding questions, and you're going to want to look at those primary sources to back up your claim. What's the most important reason that we went to war? So let's take about 10-15 minutes to work on these, and then we'll come back together and we will discuss as a whole group and see what everybody thinks.